Welcome back to the Wayfinder's Path. I'm chanellebarona, and today we're doing a full moon total lunar eclipse in Scorpio reading. There's a few things going on in the cosmos right now, including Pluto retrograde, Mercury retrograde. And so this is a very complex and very tumultuous time for a lot of people. We have deep themes of change, adjustment, and alignment going on. So let's talk about this full moon eclipse. This is going to happen at 12:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, May 16th. So depending on your time zone, it may be Saturday, maybe Sunday. Now, eclipses are particularly potent for several days before and after, but they also have wide-reaching effects that can change your life forever, actually. And this one in particular, it's a little nasty. If you've talked to me in the last few weeks, you've probably heard me say this. And the reason of this is that we have a T-square in the sign. So a full moon happens when the sun and the moon are opposite each other, which is a push and pull energy. And then we have a square to Saturn. So we've got some big karmic heavy hitters in play. And so a T-square makes you really aware of the problems. This isn't something you can ignore. This isn't something you can just push off for very long. It's going to come to a head. You probably have known it's going to need to happen for a while. And you are feel compelled to change it. So again, it's very uncomfortable, but that discomfort is what pushes you to actually make the change. We are getting, thankfully, some helpful energies from Venus, Neptune, the North Node's in play. So we're really looking at our future energy. Where are we moving into the future? And right now, any roadblocks we're coming up are the things that are kind of preventing us from moving into that future. Something that we no longer need to carry with us, something that's stuck in our energy that prevents us from moving forward is coming to an end, or it very much needs to. And if you don't do it willingly, it will probably happen for you. And I know that can be really hard to hear, but at the end of the day, eclipses remove things that are not for you. This is for your highest good in the long run, but there's often a death and rebirth process that has to come along with that. Today, I'm going to be using the Threads of Fate Weaver Tarot, which is my favorite new deck. I think I've used this one for a couple of videos before. But I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the cards for the day. All right, let's talk. So first things first, in the past position, and this is also kind of represents the root of the problem, maybe where we're coming from, the advice we need to take to kind of deal with all of these. We have Five of Cups reversed. This is a time period where we are either very reluctant to dive back into old traumas, old pains. The Five of Cups represents grief, depression, and sometimes the semi-permanence of grief, that it comes and goes. Healing is not linear. And right now we're healing from things in a very non-linear fashion. We are healing old wounds and new wounds simultaneously. The new wounds are triggering the old wounds, asking for us to please feel it, heal it, process it, and move forward with it. This also does indicate that this is a period where if you deal with what's coming up, if you heal what's coming up, this is depression, anxiety, sadness, this weight that you've been carrying on your shoulders, it will fall off into the past. It's not something you need to carry forward, but you do have to process it before you can move forward. In the present position, we have the Five of Swords reversed, and this tells me that a lot of people right now are feeling like they're winning this never-ending value. Mind you, we'll also have two fives. This doesn't surprise me at all because fives represent conflict, and eclipses generally represent some kind of conflict that comes up, and there's also big secrets energy. Now, the Five of Swords is generally someone who has been through a lot. They fought, but they're exhausted, they're drained, they're tired. It's victory, but it sometimes feels like a hollow victory. And I feel like some of these adjustments that we're making right now are very, how do I say it? They really create a lot of pain. I don't know if you can see the artwork on this card, but we've got the heart and lungs with five swords driven through it. So this card in particular in this deck really has that Three of Swords energy. I mean, these are real painful wounds. But we either know that even doing the right thing might be harmful, might be hurtful to some degree to somebody, but we really have to be focusing on what it takes to move forward. And sometimes a battle is just one part of a larger story, of a larger campaign. And knowing that we need to stand up and fight for what we believe in right now, regardless of how it feels. There is a battle to be won, a battle to be fought, even if you feel like you're losing ground. As we move into the future energies, we have the Eight of Coins reversed. And I feel like this could be several things. One, that there's a lot of people that are like, we need to be putting in the time and the effort to working on rebuilding after this. This is something that we can move into in the next couple of weeks, this energy. And the Eight of Coins reversed is either that you are pouring a lot of energy into something that's not in the long run what you want anyway, but you need to be pouring yourself into the things that you're good at, because the gifts that you were naturally born into, the ones that you came into this life, they have purpose in this world. There's something that you're here, that you're meant to do. And I think you know what that is already. Maybe you still need the skills to do it. Maybe you need to put in the effort. This is the card of the craftsman and the master craftsman. This is someone who, you can see it in the card here, is weaving a web to create what they want to create. And this is a time where we may not feel like we can move forward, but we are moving forward just by recognizing what isn't working in our direction. Sometimes we have to take a step back because we took a wrong turn. And yes, that looks like a backwards motion, but that backwards motion doesn't stop us from course correcting and moving forward better off than we would have if we just pushed forward. I also could see this for some people. This is, you're applying so much energy into something because you think it's what you need. You think it's what you're supposed to do, and maybe it's not. Do some soul searching there. Now, I do want to pull a couple extra cards today because we do have 3 or 4 kind of heavy transits happening right now beyond just the eclipse. We do have Mercury retrograde, everybody's favorite annoying visitor that comes a few times a year. But Mercury retrograde is asking you to go inward. It's asking you to review the things you've already done. It's showing you where communication and technology problems are getting in your way. And it's generally a good time to lay kind of low. This eclipse also is kind of, if you don't have something to do right now, if you don't have somewhere you have to be or something to do that's in alignment, honestly, take it easy. Don't overdo it. It's very easy to overdo it. Put yourself in a place where you are too exhausted, too tired, too drained to necessarily see what's going on. And there's a lot of dark, swirly, negative energy coming around. But that's because it is coming up to be healed and released, but you don't want to get caught in the crossfire of any of that if you don't have to. So definitely right now, I want you to focus on prioritizing your peace and what does victory look like for you. And also holding space for what is coming up is extremely important. You don't get to just kind of skip through this and go, I'm just fine, because odds are it's going to show you where you're not. Now, if you are super in alignment right now, you're probably going to be feeling really inspired on what's coming next, what you want to build. But most people aren't perfect. Most people aren't in perfect alignment most of the time. And so big changes are happening. And know that these changes are coming in for the best of everybody. Because we are also in the midst of Pluto retrograde and Mercury retrograde, I want to pull a couple cards on that for the collective. This is what we're all dealing with, how we can maybe come out on top with what we're dealing with. Let's see. Lots and lots of swords today. It's interesting. So we have 2 things. First one out of the deck is we have the 9 of Swords upright. And this card actually makes me think of the 5 of Swords a lot. Or is this someone who's been through a victory but they don't feel victorious? They both share that energy because the 9 of Swords is someone who has been through the battle, but not just one. They've been through a lot of them. And because they've been through so much struggle and so much strife, they often look out with a very pessimistic or paranoid worldview. I don't want you looking out being afraid right now, despite that the energy is intense. I want you looking out knowing that you can handle it. You've been through a lot. You have been through worse than this. And this is something where you need to stand your ground, kind of mind your own energy, be wary and on guard of what's going on, what you might run into, what challenges. This is like being cautious, being aware, being vigilant, but not doing so to the point of panic or paranoia. And I know a lot of people get that energy from Mercury retrograde and retrogrades in general, and Pluto retrograde too. They're not easy things to go through, but they also aren't here to hurt you. Even though sometimes it does feel like you can be personally victimized by the planets. That is the energy of right now, and it's not just you. And then the other one we have here is the Seeker of Swords reverse. And being that this is, I feel like this in particular is talking more about Mercury retrograde with swords, because these are very air intellect, and Mercury is ruled by Gemini. And so this is, it's an air sign. And the Seeker of Swords reversed is that there are lots of communications and lots of information coming in. And it's very important for you to look through everything with a balanced mindset, not just looking at something intellectually, but also looking at it intuitively. Is this message for me? Is this opportunity that's coming in for me? I feel like right now we are, Scorpio represents our magnetism, and this is a full eclipse in Scorpio. What we draw into ourselves doesn't always reflect what we want. And I think there's some level of discernment that really needs to be taking place about what's coming in the next chapters, but also what we're letting go of. And it may require you to look at things from this very logical standpoint while also looking at it from the big picture. The Seeker of Swords reversed is someone who doesn't really, they have so much energy. They want to move forward, and they have, like, their brain runs 1,000,000 miles a minute. And that's a great gift when properly utilized. But when not, it can just be very spiraling thoughts. It can be running around in circles, not knowing where you want to go, not knowing what you want to do, and not really having any clear vision. And so right now is the time to really examine your thoughts. This your internal monologue. Look at that and go, do I like how I talk to myself? Do I like how I talk about other people? How do I reflect what I want to be? And this can sometimes need like some level of almost startling clarity to understand what's coming up. And since this felt dramatically more Mercury retrograde, I want to pull a couple more on Pluto retrograde, because this is an ongoing story. And with the moon in Scorpio, we're definitely having some crossover in that energy at the moment. Interesting. So first off, here we have the Pillar reversed. Now the Pillar is the equivalent of the Emperor in the traditional tarot, if you're more familiar with that. And so this is someone, like I said, with it reversed, this is someone who tries to control everything. This could be yourself or someone else. This is someone who wants to step up into a position of leadership, but are they really prepared to lead? Are they really qualified to do it? Because is there intentions for themselves or for other people? And this is a time where you really need to focus on being in control of yourself and not in control of others, managing your own emotional experience. And it's everybody's responsibility to do that, not other people. You don't control what other people do. You can't, and this will definitely show you that you have very little control over what's going on right now, even if you want to. But there's a lot of people that can fall into this very almost domineering, very controlling, aggressive energy that it's not going to get you where you want to go. Actually being more passive, not passive in like a negative way, just allowing things to happen. Not everything is something you have to put your nose in. And then the other thing we got here is the Eight of Cups reversed. And with that Eight of Coins reversed, it's kind of doubling down. Eights are really good abundance numbers, but when they're reversed, and an Eight of Cups in particular, it indicates to me it's a reluctance to leave some things behind. Even though we can't move forward with them. We cannot physically carry all of what we're carrying right now. It's too heavy of a burden. And that's something that we have to decide. I can only carry so many things. Your bag of holding does not have any more room, and you got to drop some inventory. Because some things there's no space for them anymore, and they're not even going in the same direction as you. So if you're feeling like you're off track, it might be because you're aligned with things that aren't going where you're going or where you want to go. And if you want to fix that energy, if you want to tap into that energy, you have to see where you can trim the fat, where there's something that you let go of that allows you to move forward with a lightness of spirit. And just knowing that you have very little control over the emotions. And a lot of people try to control their emotions by either disassociating with them or projecting them. And you really need to be diving deep into your own emotional experience and going, why am I feeling the way that I am? There needs to be reflection there. And is this something that's a belief that still holds true for me? Does this even resonate with who I am anymore? I bet you a lot of it doesn't under scrutiny. So know that to be a leader, you only have to lead by example. You don't have to change anybody else. You just show the precedent that you want to show. You show other people how to do it, by doing it yourself. Nobody likes a boss or a leader that doesn't know how to do and has what they're expecting you to do. So if you don't know how to do the thing, then maybe that's where you start, is on your own internal journey there. And when you do that, like I said, there's this lightness of soul that kind of comes through afterwards that allows you to move forward and see things with a lot more clarity. Now I want to get into the portion of the reading where these are specific messages for some people. These will not resonate with all of you, but there is additional messages that there's people watching this video need to hear, and take which ones resonate for you, which are the things that are meant for you. I like to do these as intuitive exercises because I want to challenge you to learn to look at things intuitively and work with those. So let's see. What are the specific messages for people listening? I'm going to go through the deck one time. All right. So we have 3 today. I feel like most of you are probably going to align with one of these. Some of you might align with 2. I actually don't think everybody's going to align with all 3. All right, so group number 1 of the optional messages is the Fool reversed. And this means you know you need to start over. You know that you don't know what you need to know. You know that you probably feel a little ignorant, like you don't have the information needed to move forward, but you don't have to have it. You just have to be able to move forward one step at a time with optimism instead of pessimism, thinking that it didn't work out before. The Fool is a new chapter. And are you ready for it? Are you going to take that leap of faith, or are you going to continue sitting there honestly feeling sorry for yourself? Is the energy that I get. That you did a thing, you put in all this work and it didn't pan out. And now you're pouting and you're not moving forward because you're like, what's the whole point? What's the point? Why would I do this again to myself? But the thing is you didn't get nothing from that. You got experience. And that's that 5 of Swords and that 9 of Swords card as well. You got experience in this journey that you've already been on. And that experience is actually going to serve you really well moving forward. And you know that something needs to be new. Something needs to be different. Eclipses are endings and beginnings. So this is something that's very, like, it is the end of a chapter, but the start of the new one. And until you're willing to close off the last chapter, you're not going to move forward. So if you don't want to be stuck in this for even longer, you need to make a change. And I am talking to you directly because you know what it is. I don't have to tell you. You know in your soul, and you've known for a long time, probably about 6 months. You might have set the intention of, I want to do this, maybe during the new moon in Scorpio 6 months ago. But it's not, now is the time to actually take action on it. You've been rolling it around in your head for a while, but you haven't taken the leap. You haven't done the thing. And I want you to know that it is divinely guided to do that. And anything that's in your way right now that's stopping you, or that you perceive as stopping you, are the things it's asking you to heal. Next, we have the Conqueror of Coins. And this is, some of you have been on this journey for a while, and you're focusing on this long-term stability. This isn't a new, it's not that brand new chapter. It's like continuing to go strong, continuing to work on getting that money. This is big Capricorn energy. And with that square to Saturn, like I said, we're very much being aware where we're held back, where we're restricted, where we're limited. And this Conqueror of Coins is saying, is what you're doing today going to get you where you want to go tomorrow? And it's telling you to keep going on what you've already been working on. And it's telling you that this is also, the Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't go from 0 to 100. It is an ongoing process. And don't think that because you're not where you want to be right now, that you can't be there. I'm going to go so far as to say within the next 6 months. If you apply yourself in like the earthly realm, if you are grounded, centered, if you take leadership qualities and you work on where you want to go, you're gonna get there. And I think you're gonna get there in the next 6 months, to that point where you're like feeling finally stable and grounded and secure. And so I really think just just stay the course, keep going. Just because it hasn't happened yet, or it's starting to happen, but it's not where it needs to be, it's going to be there faster than you think. But you can't let these hiccups and these roadblocks and these things that are coming up and saying, hey, release me. You can't let yourself feel like those things are blocking you. They're not. They're just making sure you're on the right path. And keep going. And the last one is we have the Seven of Cups reversed. And this third group of people, they have a lot of options right now. Whereas that Fool reversed group, they have one thing that they know they got to do. And the Conqueror of Coins, they know where they're going. They already know what they're working on. This Seven of Cups reversed is a lot of people that are going to be using escapism, avoiding it because they know they have to make a choice. But they feel overwhelmed. It's analysis paralysis. It's that you see 7 cups ahead of you, and you know if you drink, you get to choose which one. You have free will. That's the important thing about the 7 of Cups. But it requires you to kind of be like really sober. Like if you've been drinking or using too much substances or been overdoing it, now is not the time for that. Now is the time for kind of that harsh, cold reality. But it's also a time to dream big at the same time. There's this balancing act of allowing your dreams to flourish and show you the way, and your intuition to let you see which thing is the easiest path. You know, the path of least resistance is what we're looking for here. But I feel like the resistance for you is more internal. And because you're not looking at it intuitively, you don't know how to move forward or what the right choice is. You might be like, well, I could go do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, but that paradox of I have so many things I want to do. Pick one. You don't have to do all of them right now. You just need to pick one thing to be your new thing that you work towards, that thing that you align for, and know that all of these different cups, you have free will. If there's something you need closure on and you need to go back and check on that, and it makes you go through a cycle again, that's okay. You needed that. Your soul needed that. So don't be afraid of making a choice, but you do need to make a choice. You don't get to just have this really easy path laid out for you. It's not going to be obvious. It's not something where you're like, I'm just going to go with the flow. You're actually stuck until you can make a decision. And this free will feels like a very big element of this to me, that you need to choose because it's about what you want and what your dreams are, not other people's, not what should be, not maybe what's even the easiest path. I really think with this card, that some of you actually have a slightly more difficult route to take, but there's a reason. Like you're going to find a really cool thing along the way that you wouldn't have found otherwise. So don't be afraid of whatever path you choose. Just know that choose it from a place of alignment. Choose it because in your heart, your soul, your mind, everything's universally aligned and goes, this is the thing. This is the way I need to go. This is the way. I just heard. So don't be afraid of that. So like I said, I feel like there's 3 groups of people who are either need to move forward on something that they've been putting off. Maybe they don't have the experience, but you got to start that journey somewhere because you're not going to get it sitting on your ass. You have the Conqueror of Coins, which are the people that are already working on something that are required to persevere through what's coming up, that you're focusing on stability and long-term success, and that comes over time in the long term. It's not something that comes right away. And then the last of you that are still deciding what you want to do, and I think that also aligns with that Seeker of Swords reversed card, and you have to make a choice. Nobody's going to make this choice for you. It is your free will that is going to build the life that you get next. And so choose wisely. I want a couple more messages here just to wrap it up. These are collective messages for everybody on maybe some of the things that are coming in the next 2 weeks and the challenges and the things and how to overcome them. So let's see. 2, 1 more. 3. Ooh. These are interesting. So we have 3 of the 4 5 cards. So we definitely have challenge, challenge, challenge. And we have 5 of Swords, 5 of Cups, and 5 of Wands now. So the 5 of Wands asks you a very simple question. What are you fighting for? And do you even believe in it? This is asking you to rise up, stand up, and fight for the life that you want. Nothing's going to happen if you're only passive. These are all very actionable times. You're going to have to probably fight for what you want. There may be fierce competition. There may be much oppression or resistance, oppression in particular. That feels, ooh, I don't know if you can see that. Big old chills with that one. We do have obviously lots going on in the political world right now and in our laws and what's happening in the US. And there's a lot of things that we're going to have to stand up for our rights, standing up what's right. But this isn't just in the big collective. This is also in your individual lives, standing up for what's right in your relationships, for your job. We need to rise up and we need to fight against what's worth fighting against, but make sure you're not fighting against things you actually don't care about at all. The next thing we have is the Lovers. So I really do think that there's going to be a requirement of a choice, which is the other name for the Lovers card. And the Lovers card is like, yay, love, happy, intimacy, sex, romance. Also, Scorpio rules sex and like the darker side of sex. So we could very much so have some spicy affairs and new love lives coming in, new partnerships that make us feel things. But there also is something to be said about that in long-term partnerships. This talks about higher long-term commitments. And the Lovers really, you choose every day to be with someone. It's not like you say, oh, we're together, and then you're just together forever. It's not absolute like that. It's something that every day you have to work together. And also that it takes two people choosing each other to make something work. And so if you guys can choose each other and move forward, there is a very good chance for deepening commitments, new relationships, but it requires a choice on the part of both parties for that to happen. And you have a choice on where you're going in life and who you align to, what opportunities you align to, and what commitments you make. So be very aware with those, especially with Mercury retrograde. It's not a good time to like really make heavy commitments, but if you do, look at all the nooks and crannies, really talk it out, think it out. This is not choices to be made lightly. The commitments you're making right now, don't be willy-nilly with them. These are really important. So if you're making a commitment to something, make sure it's actually what you want. And it's very, like, I cannot caution enough that if you align yourself to something that you feel like just whimsically attracted to, odds are it's not going to hold up. And do you need that? So be aware of that energy. And then the last one we have here is the Ruler of Swords. And the King of Swords is the equivalent in this card. And the Ruler of Swords is someone who rules with justice, truth, fairness. Integrity is very big to this card. This is a person who uses their sword, their intellect, their mind power to cut through to the truth of what we're seeing. And with a full moon in Scorpio, we're getting a lot of truth bombs. And so you may be the truth bomb. You may be finally cutting through and saying, this is my truth. Speaking your truth is very important. But also this is someone who they have a responsibility, not just to themselves to be truthful, but they have a responsibility to the people that they rule over, the people that they're involved with. They don't get to just know the truth and keep it. Secrets are coming out. You're gonna know the truth of things, but it's gonna require you to really look at it and see things for what they are right now, that we're being very called to look at the secrets, to look at the depths, to look at the things and the skeletons hidden in our closets. And this requires sometimes this real mental clarity. And I feel like we're all going to be getting that. Some of us have already been getting it, but definitely with this eclipse in Scorpio, it literally rules secrets coming out. That's what the energy is. So anything that you've been hiding that isn't truth is probably going to crumble to dust. The things that are truth are going to be revealed, which things are stable, which things are strong, which things can hold the test of time. And it requires you to look at that and be willing to see things for what they are and not what you want them to be. And sometimes that's really hard because we're trying to manifest what we want them to be, but we have to acknowledge where we're at now in order to do that. And like I said, I take a lot of care of yourself right now. I mean, we've got lots of heavy energy in here. But it's about making choices, leaving things behind that aren't for us, healing old wounds, knowing that while we feel like we may be in a repeat pattern, like I've been here before, I don't like it. Didn't think we were going to get through Mercury retrograde recording without a little bit of a hitch. Sorry about that. My camera shut off on me. But to finish what I was saying is that even though we feel like we're in a repeat pattern, it may be familiar themes, but know that we're on a higher version of the spiral, and that spiral is the path to healing. And we do go back over things. That's how we know that we did them right. And our experience shows us where maybe we thought it was right at the time, but now we've learned a better way. And don't be afraid of the better way. Don't be afraid of the repeat patterns. These are things that are you're ready to deal with. You're equipped to handle them. You've been through it. You've been here before, but you've never been here as the person you are now. So don't be afraid of leaping into the unknown, standing up for yourself and focusing on your long-term success. But choose your battles wisely, choose your options carefully, because the choices that you make are what is going to determine the life that you build. And this has been going an ongoing theme, and it always is to some degree, but right now this is a very pivotal time. And I hope that you can get yourself centered to make the wisest choices for you, but know that even if you choose a slightly more difficult path, there's something along there that you're going to learn. And hopefully this is enough to help get you through this really kind of rough time. And I will see you guys again in a couple of weeks for the new moon. Just to announce, we also have a couple of events coming up. Me and my friend Violet the Fae, we are going to be hosting a Kava ceremony on May 30th if you're based in Los Angeles. I also have my next fire show coming up at June 15th at Belle Book and Candle. Links to everything will either be below in the box, or you will be able to find out where to connect with me to keep up on the info on those. And I will see you guys soon. Take care of yourself, rest, and if you don't need to be in the fray, don't be in the fray. But if you're in the fray, make sure it's worth it for you. That's all I'm going to say. Focus on alignment. There's going to be some things falling away. Have grace with yourself and with others because things are challenging. And again, see you in a few weeks.